Russian invasion on Ukraine has brought back energy security to the energy policy in the EU, the way that probably could be only compared with the 1970s oil shocks. At that time, Western European nations decided that reliance on crude oil would be attenuated by bringing in Russian natural gas to support European energy and European industry and heating needs. Now, half a century later, the EU is facing another energy crisis that results from mismanagement of energy security, including over-reliance on Russian energy, underestimation of Russia's readiness to use gas flows for geopolitical purposes, and general lack of alternatives for immediate and seamless substitution. As a result, for almost a year now, Europe has relied on energy efficiency measures, demand curtailment, and ability to pay record prices for energy. Critical was also US support from the US oil and gas industry, which turned out record volumes, helping to sustain anti-Russian efforts around the world with flexible and commercially oriented supply, and via active energy diplomacy that US status as energy exporter has made possible. While these measures prevented a complete breakdown of Europe's energy system, they do point to the fact that Europe failed to ensure its energy security as defined by availability, accessibility, affordability, and acceptability of supply. The mismanagement of energy security dimension of energy policy has been especially stark for natural gas, where immediate and full replacement of lost Russian volumes has not been possible due to insufficient infrastructure that would allow access to global traded liquefied natural gas. Recent infrastructure additions, especially floating storage and regasification units, being installed hastily and at a great cost in Germany, Netherlands, Italy, may help, but only to an extent, given that global supply of LNG will not expand much over the next 2 to 3 years. There's also the potential for rebounding Chinese demand that could tighten the markets even further. Thus, Europe will need to continue competing for those supply with other LNG importing countries. And while wealthy European countries are likely to outbid others, as they did last year, this will impact affordability of their energy supply. Last fall, wholesale prices of natural gas in Europe peaked to $90 per million BTU, which is compared to the average of $6 to $10 from before the invasion, and about $6 in the US at the peak of gas prices last year. Similarly, prices of electricity and coal used to substitute for natural gas have risen to record highs. And even though prices abated right now, they are still at multiples of what they were before. High energy prices have dealt a blow to European industry, including most prominently chemical and fertilizer industry. The prospects of high energy prices into short to medium term also create concerns about potential deindustrialization as companies consider options to reshore to countries where costs of energy are lower and less volatile. Going forward, in the face of energy crisis, Europe accepted natural gas as well as nuclear power as decarbonizing options. This allowed for certain investments, as I've mentioned, FSRUs, as well as gas interconnections. However, many European countries see these fixes as short-term, which translates into a hesitant approach and insufficient commitment to longer-term contracts, deficiency that can impact availability, affordability, as well as nature of LNG flows in the future, as some currently planned commercially oriented projects, including those in the US, may not come to fruition without sufficient financial backing. At the same time, state-supported enterprises, including Russian entities, do not face the same constraints. As European crisis shows, responsible energy policy can and should consider all of the above options. Plans that are realistic, well-founded, and accessible will have a chance to propel actual change, rather than those that are only written out as policy goals. For the US, this means responsible development and use of all of its resources that allow the country to use its comparative advantage while ensuring well-being of its population. The abundant and diverse resources also increased US geoeconomic power, which, as we have seen over the last year, allow the country to step in and help its allies when the need arises. Thank you.